Hello everyone, welcome back to another Redstone showcase, and this week we're taking a look at Super Smelters. In this video, we're going to take a little look at Super Smelters, both of medium size, like the one behind me, and also one's a little bit larger, kind of like the one behind me. Two things, guys, before we get started. If you end up enjoying the video, please do make sure you leave a like and maybe consider subscribing. Check out all my other videos as well. I do other Redstone videos, and I also do a Let's Play series. The second thing is that I have left a WAL download in the description below. Before you go ahead and download the WAL download, I would consider maybe watching some of the video at least, so you get some context of why certain things work in certain ways and why I've put another thing in another way, just in case you have any problems building it. It is good to have the knowledge. I'm not actually going to run through an entire tutorial here. I'm just going to run through how the machine works, and some of the benefits of it, and hopefully I want to get some feedback from you guys too. So if you find any issues with it when you're using it, please let me know. Onto the video. The one you see behind me is kind of more of a modular version of the one I showed you before, the smaller one. So what I'm actually going to do is run through the details of it on the smaller one, and then I'll explain to you what I did just to adapt it into a multi-furnace array. So maybe stick around more for the other one. If you're a little bit more well versed in Redstone, what you see here to make this all happen isn't too complicated anyway, so you can just jump into the WAL download for that one. So I think the first thing you'll need to know about the machine here is what timings everything runs on. So the first hopper clock should run with 30 items in it, and the second hopper clock should run with 16 items in there. If you're not already aware, the items can be pretty much anything that stacks to, well, 16 in this case and 30 in that case. So that's basically what the clocks are running off, and all they're doing is timing the release of the hopper minecarts that then fall into this little mechanism over here, which pushes them into the shulker box, which is dispensed from this dispenser over here. What happens then is the comparator here picks up that there's a shulker box that has some items in it that releases the hold on the redstone clock over here, and that starts sending out the minecarts again. So this all runs on a clock, and then this goes back and forth. This is basically timed so that when the shulker box goes into the system and when the minecart gets over here and starts collecting the items, this will make sure that it collects exactly 2 stacks worth, and then distributes it along these furnaces over here. So yeah, essentially the point of this unit in general is that you've got all the items being collected from, I think this is 17 furnaces, so about 17 furnaces all collected into this one dropper, and then the droppers are dispensing the item. And again, I think I went for the least amount that I could. You could probably drop the amount if you needed to, but I thought this was about the right number that I needed. A thing to mention with the water streams as well, when you're building it, please do make sure you try and use the exact same water stream that I've used. If you know how to make it any better, then sure, go for that one. But if you're not 100%, make sure the water streams are exactly as they are here, just to make sure the collection for the hoppers and the hopper minecarts is correct. Speaking of the hopper minecarts, now if you have noticed, this is basically a hopper minecart sat on in between 2 hoppers, and I've placed some sand on top of them just to make sure they don't move. All it's doing is evenly distributing the items between 2 hoppers instead of 1, just to ensure that the flow of the items is as optimized as possible. And the same has happened on this side. What you might notice over here, though, there is a hopper. So what does eventually start to happen, maybe I think per unit, is about 5 or 6 boxes of items in, is this hopper minecart, this whole line over here is smelting just a little bit faster than this one over here. So the items get a little bit backed up in this system. So all I've done is run the water stream off a little bit over here. So any items that aren't being able to be collected from this hopper minecart here just gets distributed into this one instead. So it takes a little bit of the load off and ensures that you've got like the quickest times that you can for the unloading system. There was probably another way to do it, but I thought this was actually, once I had thought of the idea, it actually turned out to be pretty easy. So I was like, hey, this kind of works. So I just left it, and to be honest with you, the time is only slightly more delayed when you've got a bunch more items as opposed to just one or two. But again, there's not a huge enough delay for it to be a problem. Looking at the Shulker Box Loader itself, this is running on a double dropper system, which again, as you've seen, is coming from 2 hoppers. The reason for that is that in order for you to keep the reloading part, you know, relative to the speed of the smelting system, it needs to be going in fairly fast, and it seemed like the double dropper system was the best way to go. Just an FYI, this system is actually a system from El Mango. It's something that I've borrowed and I had to alter just a little bit, as this one had a few inconsistencies when running longer tests, so I decided just to change something up. If you're wondering what that is use an observer to detect the filling of the droppers in order to release the clock. Unfortunately, I found that the observer often knocked off the redstone block, and it wouldn't pick it back up again, and the system would just keep on running, and it was a little bit strange. So I just stuck to a slime block system where it would be pushed only when a signal was fully relevant. And just a heads up as well, when you're going to be using, if you're going to be copying a design, please make sure you use the one that I'm about to show you in a second, as that's the complete one with an altered clock for the shulkers. So just a quick note about restrictions on this system. Half-filled boxes are totally okay, you can use that. However, it doesn't work with mixed items, so if you're going to be smelting glass, make sure you do all your glass first. If you're going to be doing stone, all your stone first, and then just run them in separate turns. Make sure all of the things are out of the system before you use them again for something else. It does not work with mixed items. But again, the half-filled shulker boxes work as long as they're all of the same item, because at the end of it, as long as there's only one half-filled box left in the system, you have a manual release, so you can wire this up somewhere. I'll show you what I've done on the main one over there, but essentially you can just release the box itself, and then you can have the half-filled box if there's anything in there, obviously. So as for the fuel source, in this system at least, it's basically just running off of a double chest where I put some coal blocks. I do want to say that I have only tested this with coal blocks. It shouldn't have any problems running off of any other fuel sources in terms of speed. Just make sure you've got the relevant fuel system, refueling system for it. When I'm going to show you the system over there, I've used Shulker Box refuelers for it. So that one kind of had the solution sorted. But same thing with this one is probably what I would do is put a Shulker Box unloader to have all the fuel source that you need. I would stay away from sticks and bamboo as their smelting numbers are pretty small. So I would stick to something like coal and above. That would probably be the best thing to do. So try and use something like that. But other than that, all I've done for now is just put a chain of hoppers and a double chest. But you can think of your own design from there, I think. One thing to note when you're building this, what you're going to have to do in order to make this work is just make sure you originally put this. But when you install this whole system, just make sure that the chest isn't there at first. You're going to need to use the detector rail, any rail really, just to get the curve over here, and then you can break it and then put another rail just on top over here. In fact, let me just show you quickly just in case. So you're going to want to do something like this. Oops. So you can see the rails over here. You're going to want to do this first, and then go forward, put that on, and then place the double chest on top. I would also suggest that if you're going to put a fuel system, make sure you do feed it into a double chest, as the Minecart hopper kind of relies on that system. So yeah, essentially the system's going to take in the shulker box that goes straight into the dispenser, does its thing. And any empty shulker boxes are also filtered back into the system, which is why you see so many hoppers everywhere. So once the empty shulker boxes are done, they'll go down this line over here, and then they're filtered straight back into the system, and they can basically be reused. As long as there's one box in the system, you'll be fine every single time. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take this shulker box here, filled with sand. I'm going to put it straight into the system. I'm going to set a timer for the moment I put it into the barrel until the moment it is dispensed to me back over here. So let's see how that goes. Okay, So you can see there, I don't have the time on screen, but last time I checked it was in and around the 3 to 4 minute marker. So I'm hoping it's somewhere around there again. So yeah, this is the single system. As you can see, in this case, it didn't need to be manually dispensed due to the fact that it was completely full. But we have our returned shulker box full of our item that we wanted. So that, my friends, is the entire 128 furnace array system. I don't think I missed anything out here, but if you do have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a little nosy around in the world download. That's what I usually do. Have a little nosy around in the world download. I'll see what certain timings are like, why they're like that way. But if you've got any questions, as I always say in my videos, I'm not a huge channel, so I'm always there ready to answer any of those questions. So guys, before we wrap things up, I think we should obviously go through the larger furnace array over here. I'm going to go through the details of how this thing runs. This one is probably ready to go to be copied into your world. So if you had Litematica and you're running on a server, I would say this one's pretty much Litematica ready from end to end. I've done the fuel system, the input, output, indicators, you name it, everything's kind of done. Let me just show you quickly how that kind of works here. Okay, so we're in the Smelter Fire 5000.3 room here. So you've got your input chest for all the items that you want to smelt. You have the return box, which is over here. You can see I run some stuff through. I ran a couple of stacks through earlier on. And you can also see the fuel. So I ended up splitting the fuel up. So one side runs on its own reloading system for fuel, and the other one runs on its own. The reason I ended up doing this is because in some cases, if you're only using like one box at a time, it's only going to use one specific side, which means the fuel's going to end up running on its own kind of loop, and you don't want to really mess the flow of it. Also, the way that I currently designed it was running on a hopper chain, just because I wanted just a quick solution for it. I didn't really want to think of one. If you guys are building this, I'm sure you're going to be very capable of making any better solutions for fuel if you needed to, but this is just kind of a design for to keep us going. And again, what I've done with the indicators, as you can see from the design, when the light is off, that means the very last shulker box of fuel has been emptied into the system. There's no more shulker boxes of fuel left, so that'll be time for you to fuel each individual side. This is just a storage thing, by the way, just so you can chuck some stuff in there. You can obviously expand this room or make it smaller. You just need to worry about the inputs. So on the other side of the input chest, you can see here we've got a 50/50 shulker box splitter. This again is a design from Il Mango, and all I've done is made it so that you get half of the items on one side, half on the other. For those wondering why I ended up sticking only 5 of these together, well 10 of these together, but in halves of 5, and the limitation of that came from the hopper minecart. The reason being is that each time the hopper minecart only has 5 slots available, which means that on its first run it can only put in 1 at a time. And then when it goes back into fuel again, if it's only going to end up putting it back in the same 5 systems. So I decided that this was probably the best number to go with, was 10. Again, I'm sure you guys, if you want to, can expand it, but that's up to you. The other adjustment I ended up making really was just making so that when the shulker box is full, instead of going out into a chest, it's going into a dropper this time, which will empty out into a water stream. That water stream is then run through all of the collection areas and ends up straight back in another water stream, which puts you back into your return box, and that way all the items end up back in here. So as for the timer of the filling of the minecart, I've set that up so the moment the first box is detected by the system, it gives it a little bit of time just to make sure that even if it's trickling in, one by one, it's still going to have enough time to pick up 5 at a time. That ensures that there's no general error in the system whenever it's trying to pick up more than one item. So the thing is that after the first run is done, you don't really have to worry too much anyway. It's usually when the first set of items get through the system, it just needs a little bit of time to make sure it's at least picked up 5. The second run should be fine because the hopper should already be full of the shulker boxes if you put a lot more. And for anybody who is wondering what I'm going to build in my Let's Play Survival world, it's probably going to be the double one over here. All you need to do is attach the 50/50 splitter to 2 of them. And then you've got yourself a nice double array. Again, you could do 4, you could do 8, but 10, 2, and 1 seem to be the appropriate number to use. So once again, guys, thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, like and subscribe. Please let me know anything that you think about the furnace array, if there's any adjustments that you think that could be made, if you think there could be some optimizations or anything at all, make sure you leave it in the comment section down below. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. The world downloads in the description. You take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.